My name is Jacob Sule. When people's rights are tampered with or denied, it means that my rights and yours are being undermined. Hence, we must educate people about their rights. The Human Rights Café is a collaborative virtual conversation of a Right to Live initiative to equip new generation of leaders to know, promote, and protect citizens' rights and dignity of all persons. The conversation seeks to promote human rights, justice, peace, and strong institutions as provided for by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Our goal is to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign and respect for citizens' rights. If you'd like to know more about the Human Rights Café, please join our conversation on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter via @HRightsCafe. Once again, Jacob Sule. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's conversation on the Human Rights Café. This is the Human Rights Café streaming live from Washington, D.C. in the United States. My name is Jacob Sule, and I have my colleague here with me, Joanna Titus, who is joining from Abuja as a co-host. Hello, Joanna, and welcome.
Hi, Jacob. Thank you for having me today on the show.
Thank you very much, Joanna. It's a pleasure to have you today on the show. For the purpose of our viewers who are joining outside Nigeria and on all social media platforms, Nigeria is a country with 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, which is a seat of power. And Nigeria runs a democratic system of government. Every 4 years, citizens who are eligible to vote and cast a ballot go out to elect representatives both at the state, federal, and local level to select leaders who will run the affairs of the country for the next 4 years. As Nigeria prepares for the 2023 general elections, it is, however, my belief that citizens must know their rights, and this conversation seeks to encourage people and Nigerians particularly to actively participate in their civic rights. Nigeria indeed is a country blessed with a rich culture, diversity, and many ethnic groups. The giant of Africa stands tall amongst other countries. However, Nigeria is facing significant human rights abuses, some of which includes unlawful and arbitrary killings by non-state actors and overzealous government agents, unlawful detention of citizens, restrictions to the freedom of expression, life-threatening prison facilities, and forced disappearance of government critics. Also, the Nigerian police, which is the primary law enforcement agency, and other law enforcement agency appears to be one of the major abusers of human rights in Nigeria. But today, we will be looking at the state of human rights with my guest. My guest today is Festus Ogun. Festus Ogun is a constitutional lawyer and human rights activist in Nigeria. Festus, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Festus. My first question to you will be that there is a perception, and the perception is that several Nigerians do not know their rights. Many a times, the Nigerians are being faced with several circumstances. Most importantly, these circumstances are being described as uncomfortable and very unfortunate. I'd like you to talk to us about human rights in Nigeria as we set the background for this conversation. Festus.
Very well. Indeed, looking at the provisions of our law from the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, down to the African Charter of Human and People's Rights, down to the Anti-Torture Act enacted in 2017, it seems to me that we have copious laws that guarantee, protect, and promote human rights. But in reality, what we have at best in our country is a system that gives them about human rights, that gives them about the dignity of human person. It is a system that was designed not to respect human rights. And that's why the trajectory of our people, especially in the recent past, has been that of abuses, violation, encroachment on the sacred human rights of our people. On a daily basis, we witness cases of arbitrary arrest, we witness cases of unlawful detention, enforced disappearance, fatal murder, avoidable rather, kidnap of our people. Again, we see crackdown on this on dissenting voices. We see, in fact, more recently, cases of crackdown on digital users. I mean, there is now a growing form of intolerance for the enjoyment of digital rights in Nigeria. Whether you are in a virtual space or you are in a physical space, the human rights of our people are not violated, are completely violated. It is so painful that in Nigeria today, despite clear provisions of Section 39, 40, and 41 of the Constitution, citizens cannot even protest. And I begin to wonder, what is the essence of rights if you cannot fight for your right? Oh, you have the right, but you do not have the right to fight for your right. Then the essence of the right becomes defeated. And that is the situation we find ourselves in Nigeria. Tall and short, yes, the laws in Nigeria have protected the rights, but the laws are merely paper tigers because state authorities almost on a daily basis are seen violating the rights of our people with reckless abandon. If violations are coming from, say, mere powerful people in the society, we might be discussing something different entirely. But at this point, the rights are violated by the state authorities themselves, who ordinarily have a duty to protect the fundamental rights of our people. So, short and short, the rights, human rights in Nigeria is a sort of marriage, is not respected by the authorities, not respected by powerful people, and the painful part of the whole tragedy is that these rights are being violated, specifically targeted at the poor, the helpless, and indigent loss of our people. It's very because I work as a human rights lawyer. Majority of my work revolves around human rights. I barely see situations where the rich, the powerful, the connected, the political elite get to face cases of human rights violation. It is only the rising state of human rights violation in Nigeria is specifically targeted at the poor. This is the show we found ourselves in this country.
Thank you very much, Festus, for that answer. We appreciate. All right, then. The second question for today is basically when we look at chapter 4 of the 99 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we know that there are various provisions for fundamental rights in Nigeria of every person, particularly when we look at section 33 that talks about the right to life. We also know that the Universal Declaration on Human Rights also provides for this same rights to life, liberty, and security. specifically Article 3. And also, we know Article 4 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights states that human beings are inviolable. Every human being shall be entitled to respect for life and the integrity of his person. But then, in the light of these provisions for human for the right to life per se, but we can see in Nigeria that some scholars has described this same right to life as a failed reality in Nigeria. So, what is your thought on this?
Thank you. Indeed, Section 33 of the Constitution guarantees the right to life. On a daily basis, we still witness cases of police extrajudicial killings. On a daily basis, we still witness cases of untamed jungle justice, which is largely supported by the body language of the authorities. We say we have the right to life, but some people somewhere in this country have the license to kill with impunity without consequences. We say we have the right to life guaranteed under Section 23 of the Constitution. Yet, we have a situation where people do not have means of livelihood. What is the essence of the right to life when our people do not have the right to means of livelihood? What is the essence of the right to life when people do not even have the right to freedom of expression? What is the essence of the right to life when our people do not have clothing, do not have shelter? What is the essence of the right to life when our people live in excruciating poverty and total penury? Yeah, the question that put my mind as a lawyer and a citizen of this country. When you have the right to life, then you must have a means of livelihood. You must enjoy the right to means of livelihood. Because what is the opposite? What is the very essence of living? If you can, if what is the essence of the right to life? If you cannot live, if you cannot survive, on a daily basis, we have millions of our young people, children in the streets, hungry, desolate, without education. For months, universities are on strike. What is the essence of the right to life without the right to education? Most importantly, what is the essence of the right to life without the right to medical facilities? Yes, you have the right to life, but when you get hit by sickness, when you take ill, there is no adequate provision by the authorities for you to manage your medical case. Then you begin to see avoidable deaths in our hospitals that are largely converted clinics. We know for a fact that human rights are interrelated, interconnected, and interwoven. You cannot tell us that we enjoy the right to life in Nigeria when we do not enjoy the right to means of livelihood. We do not enjoy the right to sound and quality healthcare delivery. When you tell us we have the right to life, but the police, the SSS, the Nigerian Army, and the rest of the largely reckless police and other security agencies still encroach on the right to life almost on a daily basis. We see cases of extrajudicial killings almost on a daily basis in our country, and we say we have the right to life. Again, I will insist that the right to life without adequate security of the lives of our people is a lie in itself. Because people in Nigeria only recognize the right to life in the pages of our laws. In reality, You can step out of your office now, and someone will shoot you, will kill you, without consequences. Because despite the clear provision of Section 14B of the Constitution, that says the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government, the large majority of our people are not secured. And that's why you see in this same country, and as Attorney General of the Federation, a Minister of Justice was killed. Till today, about 20 years after, is yet to get justice. There cannot be a country that guarantees the right to life when human lives can be arbitrarily taken without consequences. A good number of our people were massacred in October 2020. Till today, nobody has been called to question. Nobody is made to answer serious questions. Yet, we still have the right to life. When you now go to court, when your rights are violated, who answers you? For how long does it take to get justice? Let me give an instance. Sometime August last year, I filed a fundamental rights application at the Federal High Court in Abuja for the enforcement of my client's fundamental rights. I must tell you, Ghana, that my client was arrested in April 2021. He was not granted bail. He was not charged to court. He was not given access to his lawyers. He was not even given access to his family. The family members even thought he was dead because there was no way. It was just a sort of enforced disappearance. But it was arrested by the State Security Service. I have since filed that action in August 2021. Up till today, the hearing of that application has not commenced. We'll be having cases adjournment upon adjournment. And we say we have a system of justice that protects human rights. He has been rotting in SSS custody since April, a year after he has not been back to court, despite our application in court. One of my clients, Gail, was arrested by the same state security service for exposing. My client is a journalist, for exposing the atrocities, the criminal parts of a sitting governor in Nigeria, a governor of the state in Nigeria. In place of filing an action in court for defamation, if there was a defamation anyway, the governor instructed the SSS to arrest him. Not just that, they detained him beyond the time contemplated by law. Over a week after our consistent advocacy, he was asked to court. So now he has not been granted bail because of our justice system. And we say we enjoy human rights in this country. And we say we enjoy the rights of human person in this country. I think we need more advocacy on these issues because one is that our people, a majority of our people, do not really recognize the fact that they have this right. Again, those that recognize the right, those that recognize the fact that they have the right, usually are discouraged by the system because they understand that the system of justice in the country is slow, and you know that justice delayed is justice denied. These are the issues. These are the fundamental issues that I think goes to the root of the enjoyment of human rights in this country. It is not just enough that we have the human rights provisions in our laws. It is most important, or more important, that we see in actuality, in reality, that this right to enjoy, right to life is not enjoyed in this country. Because the right can be denied, literally taken, without question, without any consequences. That is where we find ourselves in the process.
Right. Thank you so much, Festus. I truly admire your line of thought. You've expressed your displeasure about the situation of human rights in Nigeria, talked about how the challenge in which you're facing in getting to file your suits, and then the time in which you get to even get the case being mentioned in court. You talked about the recently concluded protest against police brutality by Nigerian youth, and then you question the right to life and ask what is the essence of this right when people do not have access to their means of livelihood. Now, tell me, what do you think we can do as young persons, as lawyers, legal practitioners, to increase awareness of people or Nigerian citizens about their rights? How can we begin to lead advocacies for people to actually understand their rights and stand up to fight for themselves and defend their rights in situations whereby you don't have people like me who are lawyers or you to actually stand in? Like, what do you think we can do in this regard to actually improve human rights education in Nigeria? Yes, Festus.
Yes, basically, like what you are doing, we just need continuous legal education. We need to intensify the advocacy. Now, the advocacy will not just be centered on protecting or fighting for the right. The advocacy should be centered on educating our people. In other parts of the world, it's called the legal literacy, human rights literacy campaign. A lot of our people do not even understand that they have this right. A lot of our people get killed by the state authorities. Yet their family members are afraid to fight for their rights, to fight for the rights of their beloved ones that was the beloved ones that were fatally terminated because they do not have the proper human rights and legal education. And that can only be achieved by our continuous advocacy and legal literacy campaign, which is what your human rights group or platform is doing. I think it is very important that we reach out to the local part of our country. We still have some part of this country that cannot even communicate very well in English language. I think we need to return the advocacy to the local communities, to the locals. Why am I saying this? Those people that are truly being deprived of their rights, whose rights are being violated on a daily basis in this country, are the poor and the uneducated, largely uneducated people, who do not know their left from right. And that is why we cannot stop the advocacy in the media. We cannot stop the advocacy on social media. I am of the firm view that we need to take the legal literacy campaign, the human rights literacy campaign, to our local communities, probably in language they completely understand, so that they will be empowered with the knowledge of human rights, they will be empowered with the knowledge of law. Now, there was a case of one of the family I represent. The young man Aremu, very everywhere in the news, was traveling to Kano. He left Lagos traveling to Kano, a jobless graduate who was only trying to make a living through photography, his photography skills. Traveling from Lagos to Kano, he didn't get to Kano. He didn't get to his destination. His phone was unreachable. Thereafter, we learned that there was an accident that occurred. The family members were not contacted. Nobody was contacted. He was buried in a shallow grave. Where he was buried, we do not know. They didn't see the permission of the family members before they buried him. There are no reports from the Federal Road Safety Corps that there was any accident. The authorities in Ogun State, where they allege that the accident occurred, could not give a proper answer to the question, where is the dead body? In the middle of the advocacy, the family said they left everything in the hands of God, human life. Where in other countries, people are advocating for animal lives, domestic animal lives, wild
Yes,
animal rights.
you're right,
So
Mr.
you
Festus.
see,
You're
you
right.
see that, yes,
Yes.
you see that people
Okay,
need to be
we want
thoroughly
to.
educated.
I said, okay, let's actually look at human rights in another angle now. Okay, thank you so much for your well articulated answers. But then we also like to have a discuss section 37 of the Constitution too that deals with rights to private life. Would you really say that these rights, the right to private life, is actually protected under our Nigerian Constitution, or are they laws that provides for the protection of this right to privacy in Nigeria? So just share your thoughts in that light to the aspect of the right to privacy.
Yes, the right to privacy guaranteed under Section 37 of the Constitution is being largely enjoyed by people. Largely enjoyed, the privacy of citizens, their correspondences, and their homes is largely enjoyed. Yet, more recently, we've seen a growing violation of the right to privacy by businesses in this country. Now, we are now looking at the dimension of how established business organizations have continuously violated the digital rights, the right to privacy of our people. And this is very peculiar with loan apps, where the images, where the information, data of our people are being widely circulated indiscriminately in violation of law, all because a customer of your loan company that has not met up with the loan obligation has breached the loan obligation, and the next thing we see that this loan app do is to begin to indiscriminately contact the family members, friends, relatives, employers, co-employee of those that have taken loans. Indeed, that is a clear violation of the right to privacy of our citizens. Again, despite the clear provisions of the National Data Protection Regulation (NDPR), we still see that the data privacy of our citizens are still being violated, not even just by these companies, even by the authorities. Some of us who are with critical voices in the country find it very difficult to have sensitive information, sensitive conversation rather, on direct phone calls, because we know that the state authorities are unlawfully intercepting our conversation. How is the right to privacy safe in this country? Again, we have the issues of how the state agencies generally trade, the data, personal information of our people, commercialization of data. We have them in Nigeria, but the growing trend is the trend involving the loan companies. They continue to violate the right to privacy, guaranteed under Section 37, the right to the dignity of human person, guaranteed under Section 34 of the Constitution, with reckless abandon. But we are more comforted that the Federal Consumer Agency is now taking steps to ensure that the loan companies that are consistently, recklessly violating the right to privacy of our people, especially the poor people, are being brought to book. And we must commend the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Agency for doing a very good job in that respect. But I mean, the intervention came quite late, but it is better late than never.
Right. Thank you very much, Festus, for that. And I think you partially answered part of my next question on the issue of digital rights in Nigeria. I'm aware this is an emerging right, like an emerging area of focus in Nigeria, and particularly for law practice. Take for instance, you find you as a Nigerian or just as anybody, you wake up to several unsolicited text messages, emails, and even breach of information in which you've shared with maybe a network provider or even the services in which you subscribe to. And then you begin to see several messages that get into your inbox, and you're frustrated as a Nigerian. Talk to me about digital rights and how we can regulate this kind of infractions on people's privacy in Nigeria. So the question is, are there really laws put in place to regulate the infractions of citizens' rights by the so-called invasion by telecommunication companies or what have you? Yes, Festus?
Very well. You see, indeed, our courts in several cases filed by the digital rights lawyers initiative have declared that we have digital rights in Nigeria, putting into consideration the provision of section 37 and 39 of the Constitution. Yes, we have digital rights. However, despite the clear provisions of our law, we still have some other laws that are being deployed by the state authorities to crack down on data and digital rights in this country. To give you an example, if you look at the provision of section 24 of the Cybercrimes Act enacted in 2015 in Nigeria, you see that they mentioned there is a criminal offense, if you permit me to use that word. There is a crime established by section 24 called cyber stalking. So, if you make any publication, if you make any tweet, any online post, comment that is likely to cause annoyance, discomfort, ill will, hatred to about any person, then you can be charged for cyber stalking and you risk 3 years imprisonment. Now, when journalists, activists, and citizens make comments criticizing the governor of the state, a lawmaker, a president, or what have you, they quickly arrest you and you will be charged for cyber stalking. Why? Because they believe that if I say, look, for example, I say the governor of my state has not performed, and the government feels annoyed by that particular provision, by that particular post I made on Facebook, the government can cause my arrest under section 24 of the Cybercrimes Act because it causes him annoyance. It causes him ill will. They will say it causes hatred. Now, authorities in Nigeria are hiding under the pretext of cyber stalking to crack down on the digital rights of our people, especially the right of freedom of expression in the media space. in the digital space. And that is why you see on a daily basis, journalists are arrested, journalists are prosecuted. In fact, my client that was arrested on the 13th of May 2022 rather, just some few weeks ago, was charged under the same section 24 1B or thereabouts that talks about annoyance because my client has published a story that exposed the criminal record, the past criminal record of the governor of Ogun State in the United States of America. Now they are charging him to court because the publication has caused the governor annoyance. Now, because of the delicate and satanic nature of that particular section 24 of the Cyber Crimes Act, a digital rights lawyer or one of the foremost digital rights lawyer in Nigeria approached the Federal High Court to seek a declaration that Section 24 of the Cyber Crimes Act is a violation of Section 39 of the Constitution because it gives a wide room for the encroachment of the right to freedom of expression that should ordinarily be enjoyed by the citizens of this country in the digital space. The matter is still pending at the Supreme Court. I'm talking about Solomon Okedara and the Attorney General of the Federation, National Assembly, and National Assembly. We still have that case pending at the Supreme Court. That is to show you that the digital rights of our people is subject to attack and violations because the Cyber Crimes Act has made a wide gap with which state authorities can persecute citizens, activists, and critical voices who are making publications that they do not find comfortable. And the worst part of the whole scenario is that the particular law, the Cyber Crimes Act enacted in 2015, never gave definition of annoyance, never gave definition of hatred. It will. So, because of the divine nature of the provisions of that particular law, the authorities are hiding under that to subject the right to freedom of expression to attack. And that's the situation we find ourselves.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Festus. Now, with the current ongoing strike action by the Academic Staff Union of Union of University due to the alleged failure of the federal government, would you say that students are being deprived of their right to education? Now, looking at the right to education, a different type of human rights.
Education, not really something like ours, is not a privilege and should not be a privilege. Education is a fundamental right. What is the right? What is the, like I mentioned earlier, what is the essence of the right to life? Without the right to this, without the right to education. The right to education is a fundamental right. It is a right that must be enjoyed by citizens of this country. I know under the educational objectives that the citizens of our country shall enjoy education. Just a minute. Oh, just a minute. Just give me a minute. Let me find my constitution. I'm coming.
All right.
Yes. Just a minute. Because we have to be very clear on these issues. We have to be very, very clear on the very importance of the right to education in Nigeria that the government of this country is arbitrarily, violating. It says that the government shall strive to eradicate illiteracy. I'm talking section 18, subsection 3 of the Constitution. It says the government shall strive to eradicate illiteracy, and to this end, the government shall, and where practicable, provide free shall. The constitution shall, it means they must provide a free, compulsory, and universal primary education. We have a lot of our young people, a lot of children roaming the streets during school hours. In this country, we still have the Almajiri system involved in this country. Go to our streets. We still have children, school children, who are still, begging for food in this country. But the Constitution says there must be free, compulsory, and universal primary education. B. Free university education. I wanted to say I'm not capping. I'm not lying here. It is there in Constitution, section 18.3b. It says free university education. To know how serious it is there. I'm not manipulating facts. It says free university education. C. Free adult literacy education. Now the case of ASU. It says 18.3b. It says the government shall strive to eradicate illiteracy, and to this end, government shall, as and when practicable, provide free university education. The government of Nigeria does not fund education. No, they don't. In fact, they are not interested in funding education. They are rather interested in enriching their pockets, in ensuring that the education system in Nigeria is troubled, because they understand the power of education. We have to get it very clearly. The government understands that weaponization of ignorance is the very tool with which they can continue to perpetuate themselves in power. If the majority of our people, as envisaged under Section 18.3 of the Constitution, are well educated, we wouldn't have vagabonds in power. We wouldn't have misfit in power, because education is power. But because they understand that the only way they can continue to perpetuate themselves in power, the only way they can continue to misrule us, the only way they can continue to subject us to perpetual hardship, poverty, and hunger, death, and agony, is for them to ensure that we do not enjoy education. If not, the demands of ASU are not outrageous. ASU indeed is fighting for the rights of our people. But I finished from a Nigerian university, and I know for a fact that what we are getting in our schools is largely schooling. We are only schooling. We are not getting proper and true education. It was the struggle of ASU that led to the establishment of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund. Go to my alma mater, for example, somewhere in a village in Ogun State. You will see that majority of the buildings there were built by state fund resources, yet a product of ASU struggle. If the government can continue to pay bandits, can continue to reward terrorists, can continue to reward arsonists, can continue to reward unruly behavior, reward terrorists and criminals, how much does it take them to solve the issues that are being demanded for ASU? Again, the demands of ASU are not outrageous, but because the government of our country is not committed to funding education, they blatantly refuse to meet the demands of ASU, and that is why the current comatose that the education system is should be traced to the failure of our leadership to provide quality and sound education for our people. It is better that we face the struggle and get justice. Meet the demands of ASU. Now, just going to school and graduating half-baked graduates who are not really relevant in the job market, who cannot add value in the job market because they are not well educated. These are the issues. Again, the government is nonchalant about the demands of ASU simply because they are personally not affected by the demand. A lot of them, though enjoyed free education up to university level, are now sending their children abroad. The president of this country has his children studied in the United Kingdom, not on scholarship. They were not there on scholarship. Go everywhere. Even members of House of Assembly, members of the political elite, they all send their children to the abroad to get foreign education, whereas the education system here is comatose. So it shows the priority of our government. The same thing we are experiencing today was what we experienced in 2019, despite the fact that election was approaching. The government insisted that they were not going to meet the demands of ASU. It shows the way and manner they prioritize education. And that is why we must not join the bandwagon in condemning ASU. They are fighting for the rights of our country. They are fighting for the rights of our youth. They are fighting for the future of this country. And it is the government that owns the duty, the very duty to provide education. And instead they are buying forms of 100 million naira, largely financed by the resources that belong to the needy, but are being cornered by the greedy set of politicians who have in power. So the very issue, I don't want to go in the line of advocacy, but the issue with education in the country, the ASU strike, is avoidable if the government of our country is indeed committed to the provision of Section 13 of the Constitution that provides for the right to freedom of right to education.
Thank you so much, Festus. It's been truly an engaging conversation, listening to your thoughts and perspectives on the state of education in Nigeria. Viewers, I've been speaking to Festus Ogun. Festus is a legal practitioner, constitutional lawyer, and human rights activist who is based in Lagos. I'd like to thank you all very sincerely for joining in. Unfortunately, we're out of time and we cannot take comments. I see all your comments, and hopefully we can continue the conversation on a social media platform. Thank you very much for joining today's chat session, and I look forward to next week when we'll be looking at other topics around human rights in Nigeria. Thank you very much. But Festus, before I let you go, your final thoughts on the state of human rights in Nigeria. Yes, Festus.
I strongly believe that Nigerians deserve better. We deserve to be treated equally. We deserve proper treatment. Our human rights ought to be protected and completely guaranteed beyond stages of our. But I know for a fact that violations of human rights may endure in the night. The time will come that the people of our country will still get to enjoy human rights in the real sense of it. But that time is sooner than.
Thank you very much, Festus, and thank you, Joanna, for co-hosting this chat all the way from Nigeria in Abuja. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. I look forward to the next edition next week. Thank you.
Welcome to the Human Rights Café. My name is Jacob Sule. When people's rights are tampered with or denied, it means that my rights and yours are being undermined. Hence, we must educate people about their rights. The Human Rights Café is a collaborative virtual conversation of a Right to Live initiative to equip new generation of leaders to know, promote, and protect citizens' rights and dignity of all persons. The conversation seeks to promote human rights, justice, peace, and strong institutions as provided for by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Our goal is to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign and respect for citizens' rights. If you'd like to know more about the Human Rights Café, please join our conversation on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter via @HRightsCafe. Once again, Jacob Sule. Thank you.